3 years after 8th grader Liam Carter vanished on a school field trip, grief-stricken teacher Claire Harper spots a gaunt, older Liam in a crowded station. Her relentless search, joined by disgraced Detective Jonas Reed, uncovers a trafficking ring that recruits runaways during field trips. Enjoy the story. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know your thoughts about the ending in the comments. Your support helps us create more deep and gripping stories just for you. There's more to come. The sun hadn't yet burned the river mist off Millbridge when a yellow school bus hissed to a stop outside Maple Street Middle. May birds argued in the poplars. Diesel and doom mingled in the air. 8th grade teacher Claire Harper adjusted her clipboard, the laminate corners softened by too many field trips, and began her practice cadence. Abel, Sophia, present. Bailey Marcus, present. 27 quick nods, a chorus of mourning. Ms. Harper, backpacks thumping up the steps. She felt that usual mix of responsibility and promise. Pinewood Lake, 30 miles north, always left the kids buzzing for weeks afterward. Canoes, campfire stories, a break from screens. She reached the bottom of the list and frowned at the blank square beside Carter, Liam. Claire turned, scanning the asphalt. Students milled in loose knots, hoodies half-zipped, earbuds dangling. No Liam's mop of sandy hair, no blue sketchbook hugged to his chest. She tried to call in response a second time, louder. Liam Carter. Only the river answered, gulls wheeling over the iron footbridge. The driver, Gus, leaned from his seat. "We rolling, Ms. H. Give me 2 minutes." Inside, the bus smelled of vinyl seats and bubblegum. Claire walked the aisle, double-checking. 27 sets of eyes followed her, sensing tension. At the back, twins Kadisha and Kendra whispered behind cupped hands. A stab of unease rippled through her consciousness. Familiar, nameless, so she smoothed her tone. "Everyone stay seated, please." Phones away. She stepped onto the pavement and dialed the school office. "Margaret, it's Claire. Is Liam Carter in sick today?" The secretary's keyboard rattled. "No parent call in. Want me to page him?" "Please do." Claire pictured Liam's homeroom desk. Neat, center row, a lineup of pens he sharpened to surgical points. A quiet dreamer, the other kids called him. Daydreamer, his report cards repeated. He doodled starships during math, yet aced every geometry quiz. He'd begged to attend this trip. His permission slip arrived first, folded with engineer precision. Gus honked twice. Schedule pressure from the district. Claire raised a hand, palm out, wait. Her phone buzzed. Margaret again. No sign. Locker closed. Coach Evans says he hasn't seen him this morning. Thanks, Claire whispered, throat tightening. The logical steps clicked. Check the bathrooms, check the bike rack. She jogged around the building, heels skidding on damp concrete. No bike chain to the silver stand. The boys' restroom. Empty stalls, cleaning cart parked by the sinks. A paper towel fluttered under a vent like a white flag of surrender. Back outside, clouds built above the bluff, turning the light metallic. Claire's watch read 7:42 a.m., 13 minutes behind itinerary already. Her pulse matched the second hand. She tapped Liam's mother, Ellen Carter. Straight to voicemail. She tried the father, Mark. Same. Gus opened the bus door with a pneumatic complaint and climbed down. Kids are getting restless. One student's missing, she said, voice flat. He whistled low. Want me to drive the others back inside? No. Keep them on the bus. Safer there. He nodded, climbed back in. Claire's mind ran contingency drills she practiced every August. Lost child protocol. Notify administration. Call police after 15 minutes. Yet each step felt surreal, as if she'd stumbled into someone else's bad dream. Her phone chimed. A text from Josh and Gwen, the science teacher chaperoning the second bus, already idling 2 blocks over. Everything okay? She typed with shaking thumbs. Missing student. Liam C. Starting search. Hold position. Josh replied a single expletive. Claire closed her eyes, inhaled wet earth, fought back the image blooming behind her eyelids. Liam's cautious smile during parent-teacher night, when she'd praised his story about astronauts marooned on a mirror planet. He'd said, "If you stare long enough, the mirror stares back." She opened her eyes to the river. Fog pressed low, trailing ghost fingers along the waterfront warehouses. Could he have walked there? But why? She replayed yesterday. Dismissal bell. Liam thanking her for letting him borrow a library tablet. Nothing odd. Nothing at all. A sudden scream. Kadisha leaning out a window. Ms. Harper, look! A figure on the opposite sidewalk, half hidden behind a stop sign. Too small, wrong posture. A mail carrier, turning to sling a satchel. False alarm. Claire's stomach flipped. She pressed her emergency contact button, heart hammering. Millbridge Police Department. This is Claire Harper at Maple Street Middle, she said, voice steady by sheer will. I need to report a missing child. Millbridge measured time and seasonal smells. Lilac in May, river mud in August, wood smoke by October. But for Claire Harper, the calendar had frozen on one damp spring morning 3 years earlier. Another spring returned now, bright banners announcing the town's bicentennial fluttering on Main Street. Yet every breeze sounded to her like the hiss of a breaking school bus. She awoke nightly at 3:07 a.m. and never quite returned to sleep. The ceiling fan traced slow revolutions above, its shadow dissecting the room like a sweeping searchlight. On her nightstand lay a stack of manila folders. Missing Juvenile. Liam Mark Carter stamped in red, edges softened by years of rereading. Beside them sat a lavender-scented sleep mask Ellen Carter had mailed her that first bleak Christmas. For when you finally forgive yourself. Claire had never unwrapped it. Even her apartment walls bore witness. Over the sofa hung a corkboard once reserved for lesson ideas. Now it was a fading constellation of leads. Printouts of anonymous tips, satellite maps of Pinewood Lake trails, receipts from gas stations where someone thought they'd seen a boy hitchhiking west. Pushpins bled red plastic. At school, she still taught literature. The Outsiders, Lord of the Flies, stories of vanishing innocence, though she could hardly voice the closing lines without her throat locking. She noticed absence more than presence. An empty chair when a student ran late, a bathroom pass checked out too long. During fire drills, she counted heads 3 times 4. She'd become, as the janitor joked, the shadow accountant, tallying ghosts. The new principal, Mrs. Vance, urged her to join the living. You're a gifted teacher, Claire. But grief is a room with no windows if you never open the door. Claire nodded, promised counseling, and returned to class, where she caught herself staring out windows anyway. Millbridge itself had annotated the tragedy, then filed it away. The yellow "Have you seen me?" posters that once covered lampposts were bleached white, the ink ghosts of Liam's delicate features barely visible beneath sun-baked cellophane. Town council minutes showed one last mention. Search fund exhausted, March 8th. Then silence. Parents tightened chaperone rules for a season. By the next school year, field trips resumed. Selfies at Pinewood Lake cropping up again on Instagram under #PinewoodFun. Claire scrolled past them with a reluctant thumb, feeling each smiling canoe shot like a pinprick. She had tried moving on, really. She completed district workshops on trauma-informed teaching, practiced mindful breathing, even dated a gentle divorce named Trevor from the county IT department. The first evening he cooked spaghetti and played vinyl jazz. The second, he asked about that missing kid. Claire excused herself for some air and never went back. Every so often the police liaison, Sergeant Malloy, emailed. No new movements on the case file, but we're here. Claire read the words like an automated receipt. Malloy had once driven her out to the storage hangar where cold case evidence slept. Fluorescent lights buzzed over shelves of cardboard grief. Liam's folders sat among them, smelling of dust and chemical cleaner. Malloy rested a hand on her shoulder. Not forgotten, Miss Harper. Just waiting for the right piece. She nodded, yet the cavernous room felt like an ossuary of stories unfinished. That right piece never arrived. Claire kept hunting anyway, a ritual as fixed as her 3:07 wake-up. Each Saturday, she opened a spreadsheet titled THREDS, cataloging sightings pulled from message boards, cross-referencing timestamps, angles, weather data, anything that might sift truth from static. On quiet weeks the cells remained blank, an accusing white. Tonight, as parade committees stapled banners and teenagers rehearsed bicentennial dance routines, Claire sat before her laptop, blue light carving hollows beneath her eyes. She zoomed in on a grainy security still an online sleuth had sent. the silhouette of a boy at a Kansas truck stop. Height approximately 5'6", slight build, backpack slung single strap. Hope flickered, then dimmed. The backpack logo was a sports brand Liam had hated. She closed the file, exhaled. Outside, a freight train horn drifted across the river. Claire rose, pressed her forehead to the window. Boxcars rumbled like a distant heartbeat, iron on iron, carrying away grain, coal, memories. She whispered the name that never truly left her lips. Liam. And somewhere beyond the darkened bluff, the rail line curved toward a city whose station lights smeared the clouds. A place Claire had never visited, yet would soon haunt her dreams, then her waking life. Rain sheeted across the train's windows as it hissed in a Capital Central station, turning the glass into a restless kaleidoscope of neon and shadow. Claire Harper tugged her coat close, feeling the damp sink straight to her bones. She had come to the Capitol for a mandatory curriculum workshop, 2 days of PowerPoints about transformative literacies, and now she waited on a windy platform for the 1742 northbound back to Millbridge. The concourse was a cathedral of movement. Business suits clipping along marble tiles, tourists orbiting departure boards, a street saxophonist threading blues through the din. Claire stepped off the escalator, suitcase in tow, and let the crowd carry her toward Track 9. The tannoy crackled overhead, delays, substitutions, a litany of logistical woes, but she hardly listened. Her thoughts drifted, as they always did, to the boy who never made it onto a bus. She paused beside a pillar, wiped rain fog from her glasses, and glanced up at the giant mosaic clock. 1726. Good. Enough time for a coffee. She turned toward the kiosk and saw Liam Carter. At first it was only the angle of a jaw, caught in the sweep of a halogen lamp. Then the unmistakable tilt of shoulders, the nervous habit of pushing hair from eyes. But he was taller now, lean to the point of brittle, his frame in an oversized army green jacket. A canvas pack hung low on one side, its strap frayed. He threaded through travelers with the wary grace of someone who had learned to dodge questions and watchmen alike. Claire's breath evacuated her lungs. The station noise fell away, replaced by her heartbeat drumming in her ears. She tried to step forward, but her feet anchored to the wet tile. 3 years of searching and guilt, and suddenly he was not a rumor in a pixelated photo. He was 20 strides away, impossibly real. Liam. The name tore out of her, half shout, half sob, drowned by a departing engine's screech. The boy flinched. Did he hear? He glanced back, eyes scanning above the crowd. Claire raised a hand, heart ricocheting. For a fraction of a second their gazes locked. His eyes, once mule-brown and open, were now guarded, rimmed with exhaustion. Recognition flared, whether of her or the danger she represented, she couldn't tell. Then he pivoted and bolted toward the lower platforms. Claire lunged after him. Her suitcase tipped, wheels catching on a grate. She abandoned it, sprinting. Excuse me. Sorry, move please. She jostled commuters, leapt over a puddle spreading from a leaking skylight. Down the stairs, the smell of wet concrete and brake dust grew sharp. Liam vaulted the ticket barrier with a practiced hop and raced along Platform C, where a silver commuter train idled like a metal serpent. Security to Platform C. A guard barked into his radio as alarms chirped. Claire shoved past him, voice cracking. That's my student, please. He's missing. The guard frowned, hesitant, but took off after Liam. Doors beeped in warning. Liam slipped into the third carriage. Claire reached the train as the final chime sounded and slammed her palm against the glass. Inside, the boy stood in the aisle, chest heaving. Around him commuters glanced up, puzzled, then looked away, the universal pact of city anonymity. Liam, she mouthed, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. His expression flickered. Fear, then something like regret. The doors sealed. The train lurched. Through the window, he pressed a hand to the glass, an echo of hers. But his eyes darted to 2 uniformed guards converging behind Claire. Decision flashed across his face. He shook his head once, deliberately, as if to say don't follow. Then the train pulled free, wheels clattering into the storm-dark tunnel, his silhouette shrinking into blackness. Claire staggered back, breath ragged. The guard who had chased Liam returned, radio crackling. "Ma'am, are you all right?" She managed a nod, though nothing felt steady. Her reflection in the dripping window looked ghost-pale, eyes wide with a hope too dangerous to name. She fumbled for her phone, thumbs trembling, and snapped a photo of the departing train's number. Evidence. Proof she wasn't losing her mind. Above, the departure board refreshed. Line 315, eastbound, departed 1731. Claire Harper had just found her missing student, and lost him again in under 2 minutes. Rain still stitched the sky when Claire Harper reached Millbridge Police Station the next morning, camera phone bulging with shaky photographs. The train's route code, Liam's blurred profile from a ticket gate camera she'd begged security to replay, a single frame where his palm met the window. Sergeant Malloy ushered her into interview room 2, a space of beige cinder block and burnt coffee smell that Claire now associated with crushing anticlimax. Malloy studied the photos under the flicker of fluorescent tubes. He sighed, sliding a thumbnail across the screen to zoom. "Claire, I'm not saying you didn't see someone, but these images are too grainy for facial confirmation. Angle's wrong, lighting's bad." He tapped, pixelated brown hair, jawline. That was all. Could be any runaway his age. "It's Liam," she insisted, pulse fluttering. The scar on his left brow. Right here. She pointed to a smudge she knew by memory rather than sight. Malloy's gaze softened. Sympathy, not belief. "We filed 200 tips the first year. 90% were mistaken IDs. Parents were crushed each time. You know the policy. No full reopen without corroborating evidence. I have a train number, timestamp, CCTV at Central." She leaned forward. "Pull the footage." He exhaled. "Capital Transit keeps video 30 days unless there's a criminal incident. I can request it, but the review board won't greenlight overtime on a cold case without a probable cause angle." Claire felt the room shrink, walls bending like thin paper. 3 years, and still the same procedural brickwork. "So that's it. You wait for him to tap on your door." Malloy folded his hands. "I'm not the enemy, Claire. But chasing ghosts burns resources and people." The Carters answered Claire's call that afternoon. She met them at their porch, hydrangeas drooping in the drizzle. Mark Carter opened the door, jaw set in the permanent clench he'd worn since the search dogs came up empty at Pinewood Lake. He didn't invite her in. "I saw him," Claire began, forcing calm. "At Central Station. I have photos." "Photos?" Mark's laugh was brittle glass. "We framed blurry photos before. Each one cracked my wife open again." Inside, Ellen Carter appeared, knit throw hugged to her shoulders. Her eyes, once frantic with hope, were now ocean dull. "Claire, please," she whispered. "We're piecing life together. If you're wrong." "I'm not." Claire's voice broke. She stepped back at Mark's glare. "We hired 2 private investigators, remember?" he said. "Both promised miracles. Both delivered bills." His knuckles whitened on the doorframe. "We can't afford fresh torture." Claire swallowed. "If this lead dies, I'll never bother you again. But if it's real, Liam could be alive right now, scared, alone." Ellen's lip trembled. She reached, touched Claire's wrist, then pulled back as if from a stove. "Do what you must," she murmured. "Just keep us informed." Mark closed the door. Claire drove home under pewter clouds, wipers metronoming her resolve. If official channels stalled, she'd build her own. She booted her laptop, opened a fresh folder titled Central of her lead inside her encrypted cloud drive, and uploaded every scrap. Phone shots, timestamped notes, audio memo of train departure announcements she'd recorded on instinct. She backed it up to 2 separate encrypted thumb drives. Redundancy was faith rewritten in circuitry. Next, she drafted emails. One Freedom of Information request to Capital Transit Authority for CCTV on platforms 7 to 11 between 1720 and 1740. Another to Citizen Watch, an online collective of open-source investigators. She attached a composite still where she'd overlaid brightness, contrast, and marked the brow scar with a red ellipse. Her inbox pinged. "Josh and Gwen, science teacher friend, checking in. You okay? Heard you sprinted through Central like a linebacker." She typed back a brief version, ending with, "Need tech help isolating a reflection layer. You in?" 3 dots, then, always. At 2 a.m. the rain eased, but Claire's apartment glowed with screens. She scrolled through the commuter line schedule, mapping every stop east of the capital. Where could a 17-year-old vanish between cameras? She pinned each station on a digital map, adding notes. Lockers, shelters, free Wi-Fi hotspots. Above her desk, the corkboard waited. She printed the clearest still of Liam. Grainy, yes, but his profile was unmistakable to her. Pin, string, destination yet unknown. Claire pressed a thumb to the photo's damp corner. "I'm coming," she whispered. Sunday blurred into Monday, inside Claire Harper's apartment, the curtains perpetually drawn to keep glare off her screens. Sleep came in jittery, caffeine-punctured dozes. Each time her eyelids dropped, a metal door slid shut in her dream, and Liam vanished behind it. She jolted awake, reopened the search. Josh and Gwen had driven over after school with a laptop built like a fighter jet. Dual GPUs, stickers for every coding boot camp he'd ever attended. He unpacked Red Bull, set it beside Claire's cold peppermint tea, and booted an open-source facial recognition suite called WhisperNet. Algorithms decent at low res, he explained, fingers flying. We feed your stills as seed images, scrape socials for anything with matching contours. He rewrote the scraping bot to avoid API limits, cycling dummy accounts through a VPN carousel. Screens filled with thumbnails, festivals, selfies, surveillance snaps. The software assigned confidence percentages. Most were junk, kids in baseball caps, pedestrians caught mid-stride. At 3:17 a.m., a thumbnail appeared. A dim alley flanked by neon umbrellas, strings of paper lanterns bleeding red into drizzle. Confidence 72%. Tag, #Night Market. User, RailGhost13. Geotag, Iron Haven, Eastern Seaboard, 200 miles east of Millbridge, past the capital, terminus of Line 315. Claire's pulse tripped. Josh clicked it open. The photo was blurred, motion smeared by low shutter speed, but beneath a canopy of tarpaulin a teenage boy hunched over a stall of pirated phone cases. Army green jacket, canvas pack, his face half-turned toward the camera, mouth a tight line. Even pixelated, the scar above the left eyebrow was a fine white tilde. Claire pressed a hand to the monitor. "That's him." 72% isn't gospel, Josh cautioned, though his voice softened. "Zoom." She traced the outline of the backpack strap. Fraying matched the CCTV still. The vendor's sign read "2" for $5 in peeling fluorescent paint. Letters reversed in the puddle below. Metadata revealed timestamp. Friday 1908, barely 90 minutes after Liam slipped into the tunnel. Iron Haven's Friday night market. Claire leaned back, connecting dots. The commuter train she'd chased terminated in Iron Haven Central Yard. A free shuttle looped riders to Riverfront Square, where the night market exploded under abandoned smokestacks every weekend. Josh whistled. Kid covered some ground. Claire opened a browser, searched Iron Haven night market runaway forums. Posts surfaced. Rumors of Ghost, a teenage hacker selling pirated Wi-Fi passwords and modded transit cards. Claire's chest tightened. Ghost. Liam's doodles often feature a starship named Spectre. Coincidence? She downloaded the image, dumped it into her Central_lead folder, then duplicated to cloud and thumb drive. Redundancy, always. Next, she clicked RailGhost13. The profile held 3 photos, all-night market vignettes, each vanishing after 24 hours. The latest would expire in 6. She screen captured everything, noting a graffiti mural behind the boy, an electric blue serpent coiled around the word Valor. She Googled Iron Haven serpent mural. First result, Foundry District Alley B12. Coordinates pinned 5 blocks from the commuter station. A plan crystallized. She could take personal leave. The bicentennial break started Thursday. A 3-hour drive or 90-minute express line. Closer than Pinewood Lake, yet foreign as the moon. Fear brushed her. What if she confronted him and he bolted into darker corners? But doing nothing felt lethal. "I'm going," she said. Josh swiveled. "Claire, slow down. You need local backup, not a solo crusade. Police won't budge." "Parents," she exhaled. "I'll brief Sergeant Malloy, but I'm not waiting for committee approvals." Josh hesitated, then unplugged his external drive and handed it over. Here's the dataset and my WhisperNet scripts. If you get better photos, you can cross-match on the fly. And he fished in his bag, produced a slim power bank. Night market eats batteries. Tears pricked her eyes. She wasn't alone after all. Thank you. They packaged their findings into a concise dossier. Central Station stills, WhisperNet confidence report, Iron Haven post metadata, district map circled in red. Claire emailed it to Malloy at his personal address. Subject, line new evidence. Time sensitive. Veteran Detective Jonas Reed stood behind the service counter of the Millbridge impound lot, stamping forms like an overqualified clerk. Gray at the temples, 6'3" in worn dress shoes. He looked built for door-kicking, not paper-pushing. 3 months earlier, an excessive force complaint during a narcotics bust had cost him his gold shield. Internal Affairs clipped his badge to silver, reassigned him to property. He called it the broom closet. Claire Harper found him there, clutching a manila folder of screen grabs and printouts. Reed remembered the case, the missing field trip kid, but only vaguely. Cases go cold, the city keeps moving. Yet when she laid out grainy photos, algorithm scores, and a map of Iron Haven Night Market, something sparked. Facial recognition off crowd shots, he muttered, flipping pages. Looks like Rorschach tests. Claire's voice didn't waver. It's enough for probability. And probability is more than anyone's given Liam in 3 years. Reed grunted. He admired tenacity, though it often bordered on madness. Property clerk life had dulled his instincts, and here was a puzzle begging for muscle and a badge he technically no longer wore. Still, skepticism was habit. Central Station authorities verified the ticket logs, he asked. They'll take a month. I don't have a month. That train ends in Iron Haven. Roughport Town. Night market's a maze of stolen phones and counterfeit sneakers. You ready for that? I don't have to be ready. I have to be there. Policy forbade him from moonlighting as private security, but personal time was his to burn. He'd spent nights replaying the narcotics bust, hearing the rookies terrified breathing over radio. Iron Haven was outside county jurisdiction. He could accompany her as a citizen. Besides, if the lead panned out, he'd hand the caller to Capitol detectives, maybe earn redemption by proxy. He slid the folder back. You drive. I can rent. Cancel it. I've got a Charger needing highway miles. We leave Friday after your last period. Claire exhaled, part relief, part fresh anxiety. Why help me? Reed glanced at the rain beyond the grated window. Because every cop hates thin paper walls. Sometimes you kick one down, and there's a kid behind it. He locked the impound office, tossed the clerk's stamp onto the desk like a badge he would reclaim. Friday couldn't come fast enough. Rain still slicked the brickwork when Claire Harper and Jonas Reed stepped through the corrugated gate of Iron Haven Night Market. Neon kanji flickered above pallets of knockoff electronics, the air thick with diesel, ginger, and solder smoke. Their progress was a slow shove, past crates of bootleg consoles, cages of neon fish, rows of phone repair stalls manned by teens with precision screwdrivers. Reed scanned faces for the brow scar. Claire followed cables, extension cords snaking into darkness like veins. At stall 47, a girl in a plastic poncho soldered a cracked tablet. Reed flashed a 20. Looking for a kid called Ghost, fixes Wi-Fi, army green jacket. She palmed the bill, nodded toward the riverfront. Ghost floats. Never docks. They pushed on, past the shuttered shell of Titan Steel Works, its rusted sign hanging like a broken jaw. Inside, the mill's gutted hostel smelled of mildew and burnt insulation. Graffiti covered the bunk walls, winged skulls, circuit diagrams, and one word again and again. Ghost, outlined in phosphorescent paint. Claire's flashlight caught an abandoned laptop motherboard wired to a car battery, LEDs still pulsing. Reed pocketed a stray SD card, evidence baggy later. Freight yards were next. Rows of graffitied boxcars, each a temporary capsule of drifting lives. They met a knot of runaways warming soup over a trash can fire. A lanky boy with neon laces recognized the photo on Claire's phone. Ghost. He shrugged. Bleed signals. You pay, he splices your MAC address. Rides city Wi-Fi like wind. He mom typing lightning fast. Doesn't sleep here, though. Says Steel dreams too loud. Where then? Reed asked. Tracks at dawn, roofs at noon. The boy recited as if verse. Ghost don't anchor. Another teen, nose ring glinting, added, but he trades passwords for canned beans at Dock 12. Bring data, get dinner. Claire scribbled locations on a damp brochure. Dock 12, switchyard control shed, hostel bunk 6. Patterns formed, a migratory grid clinging to open Wi-Fi nodes and power outlets. They circled back toward the market near midnight. As stalls folded, Claire spotted fresh chalk marks on a junction box. A stylized specter and a time. 3:15. Reed checked his watch. 2 hours. Your kid just left us a meeting request, he said. Claire's pulse quickened. In the distance, a freight horn wailed. Low, mournful, like a summons through Ironhaven's iron lungs. Reed's motel room smelled of instant coffee and wet coats. At 2 a.m., he slid the salvaged SD card into a forensic reader. Claire hovered, hair still dripping from the Ironhaven drizzle. The card held a single zip directory, Ranger Ghost to zip. Inside, GPS logs, crude hand-drawn maps, and one text file titled pinewood.txt. Claire felt the room tilt. Pinewood Lake. He's pointing us back to where he disappeared. Reed tapped the timestamp. 3 weeks old. Ghost has been tunneling into the ranger station's network. Wow. He's circling the origin, Claire murmured, half to herself. Maybe proof of how he vanished. A memory cracked open. The field trip morning, her frantic calls to park security. Cameras are down for a software update. Ma'am, should be resolved by noon. At the time it felt like one more obstacle. Now it glowed red in hindsight. She saw again the mist creeping across the boat ramp, the blind spots where Liam could step off-route unseen. Reed pulled up county infrastructure reports. Station officially decommissioned last September. Budget cuts. But emergency generators still ping the grid. He flipped his notebook to an Ironhaven map and drew a shaky arrow west. 2-hour drive if we leave now. Flashback. May 12th, 3 years earlier. Pinewood Lake Ranger Office, interior. A lone tech in khaki swore at a frozen progress bar. Firmware update, 12%. Cameras 1 through 6 blinked red. Offline. Outside, school buses rumbled into the lot. The tech stepped out for coffee, leaving the monitors dark as Claire counted heads on wet asphalt. 27, not 28. Back in the motel, Claire clenched the edge of the desk. He didn't just wander off. Someone knew the cameras were blind. Reed zipped his jacket. And your ghost thinks the server logs still hold fingerprints. They loaded the Charger under sodium lights, tires hissing onto the wet freeway. Dawn gnawed at the horizon. Fog pooled in valleys like spilled mercury. Claire watched mile markers blur, each one a stitch closing the tear between past and present. At 4:17, they turned onto the forest road. Pines crowded the headlights, branches dripping silver. Ahead, the gated ranger compound loomed, chain link sagging. The only light, a green blink from an exterior router, alive, waiting. Reed, kill the engine. Ready to unearth the first domino. Claire parked outside the Carter bungalow, just after dusk, Pinewood Lake mud still crusting her shoes. Porch lights burned, but curtains were drawn, giving the house a bunker feel. When Mark Carter answered, his jaw tightened the way Claire remembered from every PDA night, like a door whose hinges had rusted shut. I wouldn't be here if it weren't urgent, she said, holding a printout of Ghost's map and the ranger station logs. Mark stepped aside without a word. Inside, Ellen sat at the dining room table, fingers laced around a mug gone cold. Her eyes darted between Claire and the folder, as if hope itself were radioactive. Mark remained standing, arms crossed. Claire laid out the evidence. Liam's online alias Ghost, the GPS pings returning to Pinewood, the firmware update that had blacked out cameras the morning he vanished. Ellen leaned forward, breath hitching. Mark's gaze hardened. So you're telling us he chose to disappear? He said, voice razor thin. I'm saying he may have run, but he's alive, and trying to show us something. Mark slammed a palm on the table. Something you missed the first time. Ellen flinched. Claire swallowed. We all missed it. No, Mark barked, pointing at her like a prosecution witness. You were responsible that day. 27 kids came back. One didn't. Now you want to play detective again. Ellen reached for his arm. Mark. He pulled away. We emptied savings on private investigators. Sold my boat. Every lead a dead end. Now you dangle another. It's not a dangling thread. Claire said softly. It's a trail. I need your help to follow it. Mark scoffed. What help? Another check. Ellen's voice cracked the room's tension. Tell her, Mark. He stared, muscles ticking. There's nothing. Tell her about the belt. Ellen whispered. Silence thickened. The refrigerator hummed. Claire's pulse drummed. Liam mentioned discipline in his essays. Storms at home, he wrote. I didn't press. She met Mark's eyes. Should I have? His shoulders sagged, fury replaced by a dull fatigue. I was hard on him. My father was harder on me. Kid stopped talking to me months before he disappeared. Started sleeping in the garage so the shouting wouldn't wake Ellen. Ellen closed her eyes. He said the air smelled like freedom out there. Mark's voice cracked. I never hit him. I just roared. Sometimes roaring is worse, Claire said. He turned away, knuckles white on the chair back. Bring him home, he muttered. Claire gathered the papers. We will. But we'll need the truth, every fragment. Ellen nodded, tears tracing familiar paths. Then start with this. She slid a small notebook across the table. Liam's sketchpad Claire had never seen, cover scorched at the edge. He hid it behind the water heater. I found it after he vanished. Claire opened to a page of code-like scribbles overlaying a drawing of Pinewood Lake. In the margins, a single word, route. A map inside a map, and perhaps the key to a boy still roaming the dark. Jonas Reed's badge was silver, but his connections gleamed gold. By noon he'd called in an unpublicized favor from a judge who owed him for a discreet tip years back. The resulting document, technically a site-specific data recovery order, was nicknamed a ghost warrant. Legal enough to keep evidence admissible, vague enough that no precinct budget line would flag it. Iron Haven's municipal grid listed the Atlas Circuitry Warehouse as salvage scheduled, its ownership mired in tax liens. Reed and Claire arrived in drizzle, crowbars hidden under windbreakers. The wooden door surrendered with one grunt, revealing a cavern of toppled server racks and pallets of CRT monitors that glowed faintly with radium ghosts. Stay near, Reed said, flashlight tracing copper tangles. Squatters had stripped most valuables, but anything with silicon still hummed possibility. Near the loading bay, they found a workbench illuminated by a single LED lamp wired illegally to the street feed. On it, a router jury-rigged with 4 antennas, small cooling fan, and SD slot blinking green. Reed snapped photos, donned latex gloves, and popped the card. If Ghost lived here, this is his heartbeat. He slotted it into a tablet running open-source forensics. Directory tree bloomed. Thousands of handshake files, Mac spoof scripts, and a folder named Breadcrumb. Inside, GPS coordinate logs saved hourly. Reed sorted by timestamp. The most recent entry blinked bold. Claire's breath caught. That's Pinewood Lake's northern shore. The abandoned ranger cabins. She traced earlier pings. Night market stalls, hostel bunk, freight yard, each correlating with witness statements. The path converged on the lake like iron filings to a magnet. Reed copied the dataset, bagged the router, and photographed a spray paint tag on the wall. Stylized ghost icon hovering over the word route. Same glyph as Liam's notebook margin. Kid left breadcrumbs for anyone smart enough to track packets, Reed muttered. As they exited, a security van cruised past, windows fogged. Reed pulled Claire into shadow. The van slowed, camera turret swiveling, then rolled on. Reed exhaled. Someone else is sweeping for the trail. Traffickers, Claire whispered. Or whoever killed the cameras 3 years ago. He pocketed the SD card. Either way, the next move is ours. Back in the Charger, Reed overlaid the coordinates onto a Forestry Service map. Cabin 3 sat half a mile off the public trail, reachable by logging road. He glanced at Claire. We hit it tonight, quietly. No backup until we know what we're holding. Lightning spiderwebbed the sky as Reed's Charger sloshed along the logging track. Wipers thrashing, mud churning beneath bald tires. Pine trunks bent under gale gusts, their crowns hissing like distant surf. Claire gripped the dash, heartbeat syncing with the strobes of white fire overhead. Somewhere beyond sheets of rain, Cabin 3 waited, a pulse on the GPS app glowing steady and unblinking. Reed killed the headlights 100 yards out. Storms our cover. Keep low. They slogged through knee-high ferns, thunder muffling each crack of dead branch. The cabin emerged, a squat ranger outpost of cedar planks, windows blacked with contractor trash bags. Door was latched from inside, but Reed's shoulder and a pry bar ended that. They slipped into pitch darkness, smelling of damp plywood and ozone. Reed swept his flashlight, rows of battery packs, a portable generator humming like a sleeping beast. Claire's beam found stacked computer monitors, their glow muted under rain-streaked plexiglass, taped across broken panes. Reed toggled a power strip. Screens awakened, blue squares flickering to life. Live feeds from cheap trail cams stitched a mosaic. School parking lots, hiking trailheads, Greyhound depots, any place adolescents gathered unsupervised. Each window carried a label: Millbridge Middle, Redwater High, Green Hollow Campsite. Claire's breath hitched as bus lot 3 of Maple Street Middle filled a quadrant, the exact angle she remembered from the lost morning. A corkboard covered one wall. Hand-drawn maps connected pushpins with red yard string. Field trip schedules, ranger station downtimes, bus routes terminating near freight lines. Sticky notes listed code names: coach, doc, broker, beside dollar amounts and acronyms that chill the blood. RTK, run to keep. NPT, no parent trace. In the corner, a Polaroid of 3 teens huddled under a viaduct bore a scrawled caption: New stock, verify age. Claire's knees weakened. They've been scouting school trips for years, she whispered, turning missing kids into product. No cops, only storms, Reed muttered, recalling Pinewood's camera blackout. Easy to snatch when adults scramble blind. On a work table sat a battered spiral sketchbook, water-damaged but unmistakable. Liam's name etched on the inside cover in block letters. Claire opened it with trembling fingers. Pages bloomed with quick graphite portraits. Guards with snake tattoos, barbed wire fences, a floor plan of this very cabin labeled Nerve. Final page held a single message in bold charcoal: I'm not alone. Find route, break the chain. Gee. Claire pressed the page to her chest. Thunder rattled the rafters like artillery. Reed scanned the monitors. One feed showed headlights crawling the forest road. Company inbound, he said, drawing his sidearm. Grab what you can. We're ghosts now. Claire slipped the sketchbook beneath her coat. Outside, rain erased footprints, but not the trail of the trafficking ring Liam had illuminated, one lightning flash at a time. They didn't stop running until Reed's Charger fishtailed onto a fire road turnout 5 miles south of the lake. Rain drummed the roof like 1,000 urgent knocks while the wipers squealed against splattered pine needles. Claire, soaked and shaking, opened Liam's sketchbook again. An inner flap rustled, something thin taped beneath. She peeled back duct tape, revealing a micro-SD card no larger than a fingernail. Reed produced his field tablet, popped the card into an adapter, and waded through a tense boot up. One folder, G-Interscragafits. Inside, a single MP, 4 time-stamped 4 days ago. Play. Static resolved into Liam's gaunt face, lit by the sickly glow of a battery lantern. Behind him, corrugated walls, the cabin. Rain hammered somewhere off-screen, matching the storm outside their car now. He spoke in a hush, voice deeper than the boy Claire remembered, yet still unmistakably his. If you're seeing this, you cracked root. Good, Doc. I didn't vanish by accident. I ran. He swallowed, eyes flicking sideways as if checking for shadows. Home was noisy. Dad's anger wore the walls thin. The night before the trip, he yelled about my grades, called me ghost in his own house. I slept in the garage again. At the lake, cameras were down for a software update. 2 men in ranger jackets told me they'd give me warm, safe fed. They said they helped kids reset. I wanted out so bad I followed. Stupid. He let the word hang, then clenched his jaw. The ring calls themselves a chain. They use field trips because teachers are distracted, head counts messy, move the kid fast, change clothes gone. Most are sold off through false foster networks. I got screened for tech aptitude after they found my old game mods. A small, fierce smile. So I hacked their routers, skimmed GPS, learned schedules, started feeding crumbs, CCTV glitches, graffiti tags, packet noise, hoping somebody smart would trace them. Guess you did. His gaze softened. nearly breaking Claire. "Ms. Harper, if that's you. Sorry I ran. None of this is your fault. But don't trust cops alone. Some collars wear ranger badges. Bring light, not sirens. When you reach the route cabin, follow the rail east. I'll be where trains kiss the ocean. Evidence is on this card. Copy it, then burn it. Chain hates digital fingerprints." Thunder boomed. Liam flinched in the recording. "Gotta move. Ghost out." The video ended. Silence filled the charger save for Claire's ragged breathing. Reed slid the tablet away, jaw set. "Kids turned saboteur," he said. Claire wiped her eyes. "And he's still running. For us." Reed replayed Liam's final sentences, pausing on the phrase "where trains kiss the ocean." In Iron Haven's commuter grid, only one line ran straight to Saltwater. The North Shore Coastal Express. Last departure 23:55. Terminus Harbor City Terminal. A sprawling seaport station where freighters and railcars shared the same fog-lit docks. He checked the dash clock. 22:12. 93 minutes. "That train's 80 miles south," he muttered. "We miss it. We lose him to 1,000 warehouses." Claire's fingers danced over the tablet, duplicating Liam's evidence to 3 microdrives. Images of forged Foster IDs, payout ledgers, ranger station rosters, all damning. She sealed one copy in an evidence bag, tucked another inside her boot, handed the third to Reed. "Redundancy," she whispered. He nodded, gunning the charger onto Route 17 as the storm broke behind them like collapsing scaffolding. Highway stripes flashed under headlights. Pine gave way to tidal marshland smelling of brine and diesel. Reed wove through semi-trailers, speedometer flirting with 90. His phone buzzed. Sergeant Malloy on the line. "Jonas, IA still has your hide. What are you?" "Running a lead on the chain." Reed cut in, voice flint hard. "Missing kids alive. Evidence in hand. Meet us Harbor City Terminal. Midnight train from Iron Haven. Bring feds you trust. No local badges." Malloy swore but promised bodies. 23:37. The skyline of Harbor City rose, a thicket of cranes and sodium arcs. Traffic thickened with dockworkers' shift change. Reed ducked the charger into a bus-only lane, siren chirp courtesy of a hidden P120 speaker he never removed. Horns blared. The charger skidded into the arrival loop. Claire spilled from the car, raincoat whipping. The terminal's vaulted hull smelled of kelp and burnt coffee, lit by flickering departures board. North Shore Coastal Express. On time. Track 12. 17 minutes, Reed said, scanning for security tails. None yet. They pushed through stevedores hauling duffels, tourists hugging surfboards. Claire's eyes combed every gaunt teenager, every army green jacket. Reed clocked exits, memorized camera placements, wondering how many lenses the chain already owned. Near track 12, a kiosk TV cycled news. Suddenly the broadcast froze, replaced by scrolling text. Route.exe initializing. Chain break in 22 minutes and 40 seconds. Passengers gasped. Reed stiffened. Kids hacking the station screens, throwing flare signals. Claire felt hope flare hot and terrifying. Then he's close. A distant whistle echoed down the concrete throat of track 12. The midnight train was breaking into the station, steel screams swallowed by ocean wind. Somewhere in that blur of rain-slick carriages, Liam, Ghost, waited with evidence strong enough to wreck the chain or doom him forever. Track 12 seethed with motion. Midnight commuters, longshoremen heading home, teenagers chasing surf breaks. Rain blew sideways through the open bays, misting every face in a glistening veil. The Coastal Express idled, doors yawning like lit mouths. Reed took point, scanning the throng, hand resting on the concealed pistol clip. Claire followed, heart pounding so loud it threatened to drown the tannoy. Then she saw him, halfway down the platform, by a vending machine haloed in blue LEDs. Liam stood barefoot in battered sneakers, army jacket drenched dark. Gaunt, eyes ringed with insomnia, he gripped a patched duffel, as if it carried all the oxygen left in the world. A quick glance over his shoulder, predator awareness in a prey frame. "Liam." Claire's voice cracked across the din. He flinched, recognition flashing, then fear. He turned a bolt, until Reed stepped between the boy and the train door, palms raised, stance wide. Easy, Ghost. Your signal worked. We're here to break the chain. Too late. Liam's voice was hoarse. They're on the platform. As if summoned, 3 figures in ranger green slickers emerged from the crowd, tattoos snaking down wrists. Coach, Doc, Broker. Their eyes locked onto Liam. One unzipped a messenger bag, gleam of stunned baton inside. Claire pushed forward, tears streaking rain. Liam, please. Come with us. Home can be different. He shook, torn between instinct and longing. Home was a cage. Then we'll build another word for it, she pleaded. But not with them. Broker barked. Move away from the product, lady. He lunged. Reed intercepted, arm blocking the blow, twisting the baton loose. A brawl erupted. Elbows, wet asphalt squeals. Commuters scattered like startled gulls. Coach swung at Reed. Reed ducked, drove a knee into ribs. Claire shielded Liam, feeling his bones tremble beneath jacket cloth. Whistle shrilled. Sergeant Malloy and 2 federal marshals burst from the staircase, weapons drawn. Federal warrant. Down now. Doc reached for his waistband. Malloy tazzed amid motion. Coach hit the tiles, cuffs clicking. Broker tried to run, but Reed tackled him into a newspaper kiosk, splintering particle board. Silence fell, broken only by the train's hydraulic sigh. Liam's duffel slipped from his fingers. He sagged, exhaustion overtaking adrenaline. Claire caught him, arms wrapping tight, as if counting him back into existence. Early summer light spilled across Millbridge Courthouse when the gavel fell for the last time. 12 convictions, 9 guilty pleas, the chain severed link by link. Liam Carter, under the shield of juvenile anonymity, testified by video. His calm, precise walkthrough of packet logs and hidden cameras left the defense fumbling. Detective Jonas Reed, badge newly gold again, watched from the rail. When verdicts were read, he felt the weight of the demotion lift like morning fog. Outside, reporters clustered, scenting headlines, but the story's heart belonged elsewhere. In a modest counseling room above the town library where Claire Harper and Liam met every Wednesday. 2 chairs, 1 window, shelves of donated paperbacks. At first Liam sat rigid, replying with code snippets of speech, if-then statements of trust. Claire answered with patient silences. Over weeks he began sketching during sessions. First faceless ghosts, then pine trees, finally a canoe slicing calm water. On the day the trial closed, he slid the drawing toward her. Canoe seats numbered 27, 28. Claire's throat tightened. Progress measured in graphite lines. Reed dropped by that evening, paperwork in hand. Official reinstatement, he said, tapping the folder, and a community grant for a tech lab at the school. Figure your hacker might want a legal outlet. Liam managed a shy grin. Reed offered a fist bump. It was returned, tentative but real. 2 days later they drove north, teacher, detective, and boy, to Pinewood Lake. Rangers had replaced the rusted cameras, installed new lighting along the dock. Yet the shoreline looked much as it had the morning tragedy began. Mirror-still water, dragonflies skimming like skipped pebbles. Claire stayed on the path, while Liam ventured to the water's edge. He crouched, selected a flat stone, and flicked it. 1, 2, 3 skips before it plunked. Reed timed them on an old-fashioned stopwatch, joking that every bounce was probable cause for joy. Liam tried again. The second stone skipped 5 times, haloing ripples out toward shadowed coves. Claire joined him, hands in pockets. Counting, she asked. Not today, he said, voice steady. Just seeing how far things can go. The sun dipped, gilding treetops. Future plans were fragile. New school, more therapy. But in that hush Liam felt no rails beneath his feet, no ghosts at his heels. Only open water, widening rings, a path not yet mapped, but finally his to draw.